podcast. And by that, I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are two best friends who are doing a deep dive into a book series, taking it one book at a time. Right now, we are shiting on the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. So Laura, what have you been reading, watching, enjoying?
So I have been reading this book that I'm really excited about. It's called Stiff, The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers.
Yes.
It's by Mary Roach. I was texting you about this and I said, I'm going to save it to talk about on the podcast. But it's such a fun book. I know that sounds stupid because it's a book about cadavers, but Mary Roach is a journalist and now an author, but she researches science topics that she's interested in and writes about them. So in this book, she is going to anatomy labs. She's going to forensic labs and learning about the different uses that cadavers have. And so it's just basically a normal person who's talking to smart people and learning about something that she wants to know about. And it's a really fun book because she has a really good sense of humor, but also she's very respectful of the deceased. So it's not something where it's like a bunch of dead jokes, you know, but it's just a really interesting book. I never would have thought of some of the things that are mentioned in it. And she just has a really good writing style. It's very much like reading just a long article, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. You have been like gushing over this book, so I'm glad that you are enjoying it.
I was a biology major in college, so this is definitely right up my alley. But if I were to write a book, this would be the type of book that I would write because I just like to learn about things. Right. And I think that this is just a great way to go about that, is to just go and ask people that know what they're doing and find out about it.
Last week, you claimed that you would never write a book, but now you've been proven wrong. You would write this book. So.
I could write an article maybe. And this is very similar to an article, but a long one. It's 300 and some pages. So.
Very long article.
Right. It's really good though. And I've already added her other books to my TBR because I need to read more nonfiction and I really like this one. So this is definitely the type of style that I'm interested in. And this is an older book because it was like 2003 was the published date.
I've heard people talking about it. I think like My Favorite Murder brought this kind of book up, and it's been on my radar as something that like, well, you should look into that, but I have not. So
I don't know how well a lot of the info holds up, you know, because it's been quite some time since it was published, but I'm guessing for the most part, a lot of it is still the same.
That sounds good. What are you watching right now?
I've just been watching Portlandia. I have been kind of like tuning in and out to it. So it's sketch comedy. So I feel like I'll watch a couple of the sketches and laugh at them. And then I'll go to another room and do something and I'll come back and it's still on. So
Portlandia is very much a show you can just have on and watch in the background. You texted me about it. And if anyone wants to know how conversations with Laura and I usually go, she goes, have you watched that? And I go, yeah, like 3 seasons of it. And then I kind of just dropped off. And she's like, is there a show you haven't watched?
You watch a phenomenal amount. Well, I shouldn't just say watch. You are able to consume a phenomenal amount of media. You read so many books and so many articles and watch so many TV shows and movies. It's amazing to me, honestly.
Well,
and you also know all these facts about the things too. You'll do deep dives on these things because I'll say, oh, have you seen such and such movie? And you'll say, yeah. I also saw an interview where one of the lead actors said that they didn't like going on the set of that because there was a ghost in their trailer or something like that.
I would never mention ghosts because the second I read about them, I leave. But
I feel like that would stand out in your mind, so you would mention it.
It would stand out in my mind. I'm terrified of ghosts. I'm planning a trip to Charleston in May to celebrate my belated 30th birthday because my sister is an accountant, a real accountant, not a TikTok accountant, if people know what that means. Apparently, like TikTok takes down like people who are sex workers, like anytime they're discussing it. So people started using the term "I'm an accountant" to like hint at it.
Oh wow!
But she's a real accountant, guys. And she's going to be busy until April 15th. So we are going to Charleston, and her best friend is coming with us. And she was like, "Do you guys want to do like a ghost tour?" And I was like, "No." Absolutely not.
She doesn't know you, does she?
Not well.
You're terrified of ghosts.
I'm terrified of ghosts. I can't do it. But Portlandia, we were discussing this, and as something I like texted Lord, I was like, oh yeah, they do all these sketches in this bookstore, and the bookstore
Women and Women bookstore.
Yeah, Women and Women bookstore. And they stopped, like, there is a bookstore that's a real bookstore that they were using, and they kept trashing it. So the bookstore decided to like not invite them back, and people got mad at them. And it's just like, no, these people were being disrespectful to our store.
Yeah,
we were doing
business.
them a favor. So that was the fun fact I had about that. I don't know why I need to consume this much media. I will also say, like, you run a hobby farm, you run a business. I have work and a dog. So I'm also very single. So like that, I have a lot of personal time to fill. So I fill it constantly with reading our podcasts or watching TV. But they say that single women are the happiest group, by the way. So there's been studies done where they're like, single women are the happiest group of people.
Like, they have very fulfilling lives.
Yeah. So my life is very fulfilled with all of this mass media consumption and deep dives into Portlandia.
I had a friend on Instagram suggest to me that I look into the Likewise app. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that app. I think
I downloaded it, and as I'm using this, I was just kind of playing around with it, thinking of like, okay, what TV show should I watch or whatever. And as I'm using it, I'm thinking, Hannah could just tell me. You're like a living embodiment of the Likewise app.
I am your Likewise app. That is the nicest thing you have ever said to me. Thank you.
That's not true.
I feel so honored. I just really like movies. Also, no, I actually don't watch a ton of movies. That is my blind spot. I don't watch a ton of
movies either.
I'm more of a TV show person. I watched a lot of movies when I was living in Texas by myself for a year. I just watched it. That was also when Movie Pass was a thing and like not bankrupt. So I watched all the movies in the year of 2017 because I could. I had to go see Pitch Perfect 3, which was the most god-awful movie. I was going to skip that, but my friend made me go.
I never saw that.
You should never watch that movie. It was the dumbest thing I've ever watched.
I don't think I saw the second one.
I can barely remember the second one, but I don't know. Yeah, Portlandia is good though. I enjoyed that. I don't know why I stopped watching it. I just did.
The theme song is really catchy because I'll find myself just at work. The dream of the 90s is alive.
Hey, whatever works for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's catchy. Definitely an earworm.
That's good.
What have you been watching and reading?
So I've been super busy at work. I've had a really rough week of not watching very much. I did watch the first episode of Perry Mason on HBO. It's like a reboot. It's like a gritty reboot because Perry Mason,
isn't that an old show?
No, they did a reboot with the guy from The Americans who married Carrie Russell.
Okay.
Does any of this track for you? You don't know what I'm
I know who Carrie Russell is, but
okay, well, her husband, he's good.
Isn't he in that Mr. Rogers?
Yeah,
movie?
Yeah, him. Yeah, he's also on Brothers and Sisters.
Okay.
His name was Kevin on Brothers and Sisters. Don't know why that stayed in my mind.
I feel like his name was Noel or something on that Mr. Rogers movie.
Okay. But I watched the first episode of that. It's good. It's like a gritty, dark reboot where Perry Mason is not a lawyer. He's a private investigator instead. And like it opens with these people where their like child was kidnapped. There's like weird religious cult things. It's a lot of stuff in this show. So, but you have to like pay attention. So I've only watched one episode. I have been listening to a lot of music. I sent Laura like 6 different music videos. Whenever I send them to her, she listens to them and all she texts back is, "That's a Hannah song."
I don't listen to a ton of music anymore.
I listen to a lot of music.
All of the music that you listen to, you'll send it to me and say, "I really like this song," and I'll listen to it and I think, that tracks.
So I could list off some songs I love, like Daisy by Josiah and the Bonnevilles right now. That's been on repeat.
You kind of like
I love
acoustic type songs,
an acoustic indie person, or
a little folksy sounding, or
pop, yeah, and like pure pop, because like that's the Daisy one, very indie. And then the other song I'm listening to constantly while I'm running right now is Donna Missal, "Hurt by You." It's like very powerful pop. And there's no in between. I don't know why.
Right. That's kind of
it's because I listen to a lot of indie when I'm like
Mhm.
working, and then a lot of pop when I'm like dancing around my apartment because I'm
Sure.
working from home, and who wouldn't dance in their apartment when they're by themselves
Sure.
with only their dogs to judge them.
I mean, I doubt they judge. They probably think it's fun.
I mean, no, they're just like, why aren't you sitting down and petting us constantly? So also, Are You Up by the Phantoms? Oh, such a good song. I will plug a show that I think people should watch, which is Julie and the Phantoms, which I've been thinking about constantly about
Oh yeah, that's a
rewatching.
great show.
It's so good. It's by Kenny Ortega, who did Newsies. So flashback to last week. I'm a big fan of his work. So he did that show. It's so good, so wholesome. One of the songs does make me cry because she is singing about her dead mother, and that is a trigger for me right now.
Sure.
But excellent music. I've never seen like a 15-year-old that good at singing. It's just
she is amazing. Actually, all of the people in that show are really good.
Entire cast can sing, and they harmonize like it's just perfect. So people should watch that because I just like it so much.
Sure.
Maybe I did. I turned it on the weekend my mom died. It was like, we can't be doing this, Hannah. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Because like it starts with a girl getting over the trauma of losing her mom.
Sure.
But yeah, my sister just said, you cannot make us watch this movie or this show right now. So that is true, but also watch it, people, because it's a fantastic show. Cannot wait for season 2 to come out. The singing styles are perfect. Lots of pop music for my pop side, and show tunes music, which I'm also a huge fan of. So I will plug that. And I'm also reading Deacon King Kong right now. I'm only about 30 pages in because I've been trying to finish The Great Hunt. And it's good. It's very, like, since I'm only 30 pages in, I don't have much to say about it so far, other than it opens with this, it's like a fictionalized Brooklyn housing project where this man comes up to a drug dealer and shoots him. And he doesn't kill the drug dealer, and it's supposed to be about like the after effects of this shooting. So all I've gotten to so far is the shooting, and there's like an undercover cop on the street like who saw it and all this stuff. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see what happens. I did get my COVID vaccine yesterday. Yay. So that was exciting. I found a random Walgreens that had stuff, so I'm going to be vaccinated in time for my trip to Charleston. So that is exciting. My arm is very sore.
Yeah. So did you get it 2 dose?
I got 2 dose. I got the Moderna.
Okay. I got the Pfizer vaccine, and for my first dose, my arm was sore for about a solid day. And then the second dose, I had literally no side effects at all, to the point where I was like, did it work?
I'm sure it worked.
I was texting my friend and my mom, and they basically both told me, quit fishing for problems. Just be happy that you don't have any issues. So I just left it at that.
That is such a brand of mom advice, because I remember my friend asked like a very pointed, like, hey, will you be like supportive of our family if like we ever die, we're like putting you in the will or something. And I was like agonizing over it. My mom was like, do you know the likelihood they're gonna die? Calm down. And I was like, okay, that's a fair point. Like, I'm sitting there agonizing over this, and I'm like 3rd or 4th on the list of like this thing. But such a mom brand of advice. Calm down. Don't look for problems.
Yeah, that's basically how it was with this, because I was 48 hours past my second dose, and I was so nervous, and I was Googling, and I'm looking up all these symptoms that everybody had after their second dose, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, I have none of these. I hope it worked. And so my friend is a nurse, and she and my mom basically both just said, quit fishing for problems. You're fine. There's a lot of people that don't react to vaccines at all. You're one of them.
I'm also gearing up. Laura knows this. I am making my first Easter meal for my dad and I tomorrow, and I'm very nervous about it. And I'm also overcompensating because it is the first one without my mom. And my dad was like, I'm not very excited. So I made him an Easter basket, which I gave him early. Which is
so cute.
He kept asking for the sweets that I had already purchased for him. He was like, oh, well, you're out at the grocery store. Can you get me jelly beans? And I'm like, no, I already bought you some. Like, And then I brought home a bag and he's like, you brought me home a bag? Like, there's just one? Why? And he was offended that I got him a bag of jelly beans. I think one of them is already gone. This is how much my dad eats. But I'm also making homemade cinnamon rolls and pies tonight with my little cousin. She's coming out. We're making pies together. Because my mom was teaching her how to bake. And so I said, hey, I'm doing this. And she said, great. And I said, this is the first time I'll ever be making these pies. So we're about to go on an adventure together.
I mean, why not?
But I have high hopes. And then I hope the cinnamon rolls turn out right. I was supposed to get them from
really good, cinnamon rolls.
Supposed to get them from a bakery. And then I legitimately forgot to get them. And then I just didn't want to buy like store brand cinnamon rolls because I don't love cinnamon rolls that much, but if they're well made, I like them. Yeah, you know me and sweets. I feel like
I like cinnamon things a lot.
I do love snickerdoodles. You got me snickerdoodles for my birthday, and those are my favorite cookie.
That's actually my favorite cookie to make. So
it works out well for the both of us.
Yeah, they're so easy.
Like, I think the problem is I like things that are good, and sometimes when people try to make them better, I'm like, but the other thing was great. Why? Like, so I love pastry. So when you add cinnamon to it, I'm like, you're changing the texture and flavor of the pastry, and I love pastry by itself. So I don't know why I'm that way.
I get exactly what you're saying, and I feel like so I'm just gonna go off on a little tangent here. My grandma a slight rant / tangent. My grandma is an excellent cook and an excellent baker, and she makes the best. I'm not kidding you, everyone, listeners. My grandma makes the best oatmeal raisin cookies. I know that that's a controversial cookie because people don't like raisins, but my grandma makes the best oatmeal raisin cookies. However, she is one of those people who wants to try new things all the time, and she messes with her own recipes. And
that's tragic.
One year,
no one wants usually she makes grandma recipes.
I know no one wants the new. We want the original ones.
Yes.
But one year for my birthday, because she usually makes me these cookies for my birthday, and I always look forward to them. She put raisins and nuts in these cookies.
That's so rude. No one wants grandma to make.
I was devastated.
Things. Yeah. Well, I am also on the side of no raisins, but you know that's because I'm weird and I don't like people messing with my fruit. I don't.
You have a weird fruit thing.
I like fruit as is. That's my thing. It's like bananas taste good. Why are you making them mushy? I will eat banana bread. That is fair. But like, if you
don't like banana pie, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah, like my mom made like a banana cream pie, and I'm like, this is the most disgusting thing.
I think that's more of a texture thing for me, though, rather than a fruit thing.
I also don't like fruit pies. I'm making a coconut cream pie and a chocolate cream pie for Easter.
I do not like coconut, so.
I like the coconut cream pie. That's a specific one that I learned.
Coconut is a weird texture too.
I just don't like people messing with my fruit. So like dehydrated fruit, I'm just like, it tasted good before. Why are we touching this? That is a hill I die on. And people, you know what the worst thing about
raisins
not liking?
Are really good though.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I could just eat lots of them plain.
Well, I will give you all my raisins then.
I don't have any, but if you don't like them, why would you get them?
Well, because I don't like cooked fruit. People often try to be like, oh no, but you haven't tried my mom's pie. And it's like, yeah, sure. That's what's holding me back from not liking cooked fruit. Your mom's pie
are not that drastically different from family to family.
It's like, I don't like the taste of cooked fruit. Don't try to tell me I'm wrong. People have tried to gaslight me into liking pie for like my entire life. And it is strange. I can deal with cobbler. I once had like a cast iron cooked peach cobbler that was in fact delicious. But that's more because I like the crumblies on top.
Yeah.
Like I like the pastry part of all foods. And I just don't like pie crust. The crust is amazing. I don't want fruit on top of it, keeping me from the pie crust. So
I mean, okay.
I don't know.
I don't mean to be this way. In all forms.
That's good. It makes life easier.
It does, except apples. I'm not like super big on just plain apples. You know how people just like bite into them? This may be because I have a permanent retainer that is glued into my mouth. So stuff gets stuck in it easily. So I try to avoid stuff that will get stuck. But I am not big on just like grabbing an apple as a snack.
I do like apples as snacks. I also will. There is one I don't know why I'm listing off all the foods I find appropriate.
This is the fruit podcast.
This is the fruit podcast where Hannah discusses which fruit she will eat cooked. There is
Email us to tell us your favorite fruit.
An apple Dutch pie that my mom used to make with caramel sauce on the top. That I will eat. So there are certain things I'm like, oh, this is good enough, but give me a piece of cake or a cookie any day of the week.
I also prefer cake.
Yeah. I don't know. I have friends who just like adore pie, and it's just like,
oh, most people love pie.
It's fine. I mean, I'm making pie today, but it's fine. Mm-hmm. But that is the end of our fruit podcast. Join us.
Tune in next week for more fruit.
Our pod. For on Wednesdays we rate fruit.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you don't pick blueberries as being the best, you're wrong.
Blueberries are amazing. They're so good.
This radio station, every week they play a game where it's, I can't remember what the game is called even, but you have to choose one of the options and you have to get rid of the other one forever. And this past week, the options were strawberries versus blueberries. People were calling in. They were so heated.
I'm laughing hysterically just at the fact that you and I have gone on for like 5 minutes about fruit.
I could go longer. I'm trying to go longer, Hannah, and you're cutting me off.
I will say that when I was working in a cafe in college, we did cut up strawberry, blueberries, and pineapple and mix them together. And so I ate that like every single day as a snack because I
eat blueberries every day.
It was so, I loved that combination of fruit and I would just eat it all day. I also did not have to pay for the food at that cafe.
That's really nice.
We didn't have to pay if we were working. We never had to pay for food because our boss believes since we're putting ourselves through college that she shouldn't charge us for food.
That's awesome.
The cafe was like a campus cafe. So that was the only reason I ate so healthy in undergrad, because we ate the worst stuff at our sorority.
Oh,
and I just packed lunch every day from work. I would bring home my dinner with me and just eat that instead of the food that we were making ourselves at our sorority, because we had to cook and clean for ourselves.
Right.
But okay, we seriously need to move on from fruit.
But anyways, the best fruit is blueberries.
We've got to move on from fruit. We cannot keep talking about this. Oh my God.
Can I just say one more fruit thing?
Yes, please. You can say one more thing about fruit.
Have you seen those pineapple core things, the spiral?
Oh,
things?
My entire family had those.
Oh, you have them?
Yeah.
Why have I been living in the Stone Ages and just using a knife to cut up pineapple?
Well, I actually am very good about cutting up pineapple because I worked at a cafe where we didn't have chopped pineapple and strawberries and blueberries every day.
Did you just use a knife all the time?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I've been doing it for years. That's how my mom always did it and everything. But these pineapple chopper things that are this big spiral blade thing that you just core down in there are amazing. I really want one.
Your birthday's coming up, man. I will give you that plus another year of the Bechtel Cast Patreon, because that is Laura's birthday gift.
I love them so much.
I surprised Laura with that gift last year. I was just like, hey, lock in using this email address. I bought you this podcast for a year. So
they are my favorite.
Yeah. I know, they're amazing.
Shout out Jamie and Caitlin.
They definitely listen to this podcast, but they don't read, Laura. They aggressively state that they do not read on that podcast.
Anti-book. But I have noticed that Jamie will, either on Instagram or even in the podcast, she will talk about the Series of Unfortunate Events books. And I also liked those as a child, so...
Well, Lemony Snicket was her favorite, and then she met him and asked what his favorite book was, and he told her Lolita.
That is so creepy.
Read Lolita as a 10-year-old because Lemony Snicket told her
Daniel
to.
Handler is his name.
Okay, I don't know.
And he has kind of sketchy things surrounding him as well. Look it up, people.
That's what I've heard. But the Lolita podcast is also excellent, and I recommend it to everyone. But that is one of my favorite stories, that Lemony Snicket told a 10-year-old that Lolita was his favorite book.
Yeah. So I listened to the podcast, and I listened to another podcast that was just talking about Lolita and the author of Lolita. And I thought, I was going to read this book, but now I'm not. This is enough info. I'm not going to read Lolita.
I read it. It was very good for what it was. And
it's an unreliable author, and
yeah,
he is definitely a pedophile. So
both of those things are true. But like the
Yeah.
author knows that, and he means it to be an unreliable narrator. He is not the hero of that story. It is looking into the mind of a pedophile. And it was good, and it was handled definitely by that author. It was bastardized by everyone else who loved
Yeah.
Lolita, especially
And-
people who like watched the movie and stuff. So all
that was
of
one of the
that,
things that this like history of literature podcast mentioned, was that it has been interpreted so poorly,
Mhm.
and that we need to not cancel this book. You know, it shouldn't be one of those books that we're like, nobody read this, but we need to definitely read it for what it is and not
Yes.
romanticize it.
It was disgusting. I read it a couple months ago so I could listen to the Lolita podcast. And yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I also am glad, like, nowadays we don't get those books as much. It's more about the girls' version of events. And a lot of books have come out, like My Dark Vanessa and others, that look at the woman's side of things and put it from her perspective. And I'm more on board with that stuff now.
Sure,
I understand
yeah.
what Lolita was. And like, my copy of Lolita on the back is a quote from Vanity Fair calling it the greatest love story ever told. And it's just like, this was not a love
okay.
story.
Yeah, no.
This was the grooming, and like,
yeah, that is highly inappropriate.
And her name wasn't even Lolita in the book. It was Dolores.
I was gonna say it was Dolores something, wasn't
Yes,
it?
he called her Lolita. So
Yeah.
it's all from his
Creepy pet name.
perspective. Yeah, it's his creepy pet name. Just so many issues, but I digress. So
Anyways, back to fruit.
Oh my God, I'm gonna kill you.
Pineapple, of course.
I know that I'm the one who brought this on myself because I brought up my fruit thing, but I do want the bit to die.
if anyone has ever watched Jim Gaffigan at all, he has a series of horse jokes, and he will go on for about an hour just with horse jokes, and then he'll say, okay, well, I'm done with horses, but ponies, let me tell you about them. And then he'll start on all these just like pony jokes or whatever. This is what this conversation reminds me of, is that we just keep circling back to fruit.
Oh my God. Well, let's talk about some Fruit Loops of characters. That was a bad digression, but
some fruity characters.
Some fruity characters in The Great Hunt, book 2 in the series of Wheel of Time.
So Hannah, we've talked about this. Seemingly a lot happens in this book, but when you are reading it, it doesn't feel like much is happening.
So I forgot 80% of this book. When they get
it too, and I read it not that long ago.
When they get to Senchan, is that how you pronounce it?
I believe so.
I was like, oh yeah, I remember this part. And it's the last 20% of the novel. Everything else, I was like, what happens? Who is that? Mm-hmm. What's going on? And I read this a year ago, and this book does not, it feels like blink and you'll miss it. Like, I just don't understand how much happens in this book, but nothing happens in this book.
That's exactly it. It seems like nothing is happening, but also lots of things are happening.
Well, it kind of feels like it's almost, what are they, a bottle episode? Do you know what those are?
Like a bottleneck episode, or what are you talking about?
No, a bottle episode is like an episode where people, I believe the term is bottle episode. It's like where people don't leave a room, and they're like, the entire episode is set up just to like exist in that episode. So it's like restricted in scope. So it feels like this is almost like an episode where they're like, well, we needed another book, so we're just going to have them go on a couple of random things. And then at the end, we'll make it important. And like, you'll figure it out once we get to the end. But everything else kind of felt like filler.
Yes.
So like the ending battle is where you're headed for, but you have like Rand going off with the portal stone for weeks, and you know, getting ahead of Karen and Matt, who are barely in this book. Like,
you know what? Let's go through it.
Okay. So it starts off like a couple of weeks after the Eye of the World. We also
Are you talking about the prologue right now?
Oh, well, no. The prologue is Balsamon is having a meeting of all of his little dark friends.
And
they're
let me just interject that the phrase "a man who is called Bors" was probably, if we did a control find for that, it'd probably come up 4,000 times in
so the man
that
who is
prologue.
called Bors is there, and he's kind of seeing that there are Aes Sedai there are men in power there, and they all get these, Belzamon comes and speaks to them in their head and gives them directions on what they need to do, and no one else can hear, so that it can stay silent. And he gets his orders and he leaves pretty much. And that's the prologue.
Yeah.
And it's just showing up. And I will say, I think this book, what it does well is it's opening up the series. Like, this is no longer just three boys running around, trying to figure things out. It's more political. It's expanding on the story in a
it's
very
definitely a
way.
Wider group of people that are involved in this.
Yes. So then we go to Feldara and Shinar, where Rand is learning how to fight with his sword and Lan.
And it's been like a month, you said, right?
Yeah, I think it's been a couple weeks, because even at one point, Nynaeve says something about, I've been away for months from our land. And I'm like, this feels like it should have been a year.
I know.
A lot happened. Are you talking about like 5 months, 3 months? How long have you been away, girl? But that's
which for them, any amount of time is too long to be away from Emond's Field. So
because it's such a pretty place, as Rand calls it.
Yep.
So,
but Lan is training with the sheep herder.
And Rand keeps being like, I'm going to leave soon. I'm going to leave. I got to leave because I can channel. And then he doesn't. And the Amarylline Sea comes and he tries to leave. And
because he's a little nervous.
Because he's very nervous because he does not want to be gentled. And
Egwene helps him hide, basically.
Yes. And he hides because he tried to leave. And then he was told that they had orders that no one could leave.
Mm-hmm.
And so he hides for a while, and then he finds out during this time that Egwene has been visiting Padan Fain,
who's been kept prisoner.
Yeah, who's been kept prisoner. And he's like, don't do that. It's really dangerous. And she's like, I always bring people with me. Don't tell me what to do. But
the other people from Emond's Field kind of visited him too, didn't they?
I mean, they usually just go with Egwene. Like, she's like, hey, Perrin, Matt, can you bring me down?
Yeah.
And she just doesn't tell Rand because she doesn't trust Rand, because that's a healthy relationship.
Yeah, but they're in love.
They tell you it every other time they look at another person and find them more attractive than them.
But wait, I love Rand.
I know.
But wait, I love Egwene. How can
I have thoughts
like
that we
this
can,
other person.
I have thoughts on that we will discuss in the characters, because boy, oh boy, did that annoy me to no end. So
anyways,
Rand also, as he's trying to escape, Matt and Perrin want to come with him, and he's afraid to take them with him because he can channel and he can go insane and he can hurt them.
Right.
So he's been treated like a lord because the term Al means that you're a lord. So everyone's been thinking he's a lord. He keeps telling them he's not. Also, Egwene and Nynaeve both have Al in their name, and they are not treated any differently. So that was a little bit of a
Nynaeve Almira, right?
And Egwene Elvira. Yeah. So that is not cool. But he yells at Perrin and Matt and tells them, and Loyal, and he tells them that he doesn't need them, that he's so much better than them, and yada yada yada. And they immediately believe him. They don't see they think that logic tracks, and they just start hating him.
It's similar to those old movies where you would see like the boy releasing the horse into the wild. He's like, go, get out of here. I don't love you anymore.
As he's sobbing.
Yeah.
Harry and the Hendersons kind of style. Yeah. And they believe him immediately. And then he can't escape. And then all of a sudden, someone gets Padan Fain out of his cell, and
there's dark friends and Trollocs that make it into the city, into the keep where he's at.
Right. And they run off with the horn
of Valir.
Horn of Valir, and the dagger that
was
Matt kept on him.
Yeah.
He had to keep on him or else he would die. Because
he's still bound to it.
Yeah. Matt and Egwene were in the dungeon visiting Padan Fain when it happened. So now Rand finds out that they have to go get the dagger and the horn, or Matt will die, because he is attached to the knife. And he's like, well, I can't leave my friend because I love my friend. And he goes off with them. But before he leaves, he finds out that Moraine changed all of his clothes, got him all of these fine clothes, and took all his clothes away. And he goes before the Emerald Sea, and he finds out that they think he is the Dragon Reborn, and he is not about it. But
and the Amerlin reveals that she's not going to gentle the Dragon Reborn,
right? Because she needs him to save the world. And he is very upset by this. He thinks that he is being used as a tool.
It's not me.
It's not me. It's not me. Tam is my father. Tam. He thinks that quite a bit until the end of the novel, where he finally lets that go.
Sure.
But he goes on this journey. Perrin and Matt are ignoring him. Perrin is less ignoring him, but Matt keeps being like, come on, Perrin,
there's a whole big
go.
party of them that are on this journey to find the dagger and the horn.
And Loyal,
or they're called a hunting party. Oh, the great hunt. It all connects. It's like that part of the TV show where they somehow slip in the title.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
Wait a minute.
That reminds me of that old YouTube video where it's like an Oscar award-winning movie where they're making fun of it, where she's
lead
like,
female's name.
my name. And at the end he goes saying something sweet and thoughtful while working in the movie title. And then movie title comes up. You guys should watch it. It's a great video.
Link it.
I will link it in the show notes, as all of our media mentions, just so people know, are in the show notes, and I work very hard on them, so people should look at them.
Don't let Hannah waste her time. Go look at this stuff.
Laura edits, and then I listen through and I take notes on every time we make a mention of something. Sometimes not if it's just like a passing note, but I will definitely link the movie title. Accusations of your sexuality. I watched that video so much.
You have the whole thing memorized, apparently.
I do. My catchphrase.
I've seen this several times as well, but
so she knows what I'm saying, but you guys will know once you watch it.
Anyways, the great hunt.
Back to the great hunting party. So he goes off and he is with another of the main characters, Ingtar, on this journey. He is the lead of the Great Hunt Pack. And as they get out of sight of Faldara, and Ingtar hands him something that Moraine gave him, and it turns out to be the flag of Luz Theron. And this is supposed to name him as the Dragon Reborn.
So this is their banner, basically, that they're carrying around. Like medieval times, they would carry banners to acknowledge what group they were.
Right. And Miranda's horrified, and Matt and Perrin come upon him, and Matt is all, oh, look, he thinks he's so cool. He has a sigil now. Ha ha ha. And then they both see it and they realize what it is. And Miranda's like, yeah, I can channel. That's why I said the things I said to you.
Yeah.
And Perrin is very understanding, because Perrin is understanding boy.
Also going through some stuff.
Yes. And he has had similar issues and things he cannot control. And Matt is continuing to be the worst.
Matt is so jealous.
He is jealous. He is dismissive. And he keeps being like, you should run away. You are a danger to all of us. And he like pretty much forgets that Rand was ever his friend, ever stood with him through all of his knife stuff.
Well,
and is there trying to help him.
Considering that they've had so much happen to them, Matt is not understanding at all. He just keeps mentioning how Perrin is so different than the way he used to be, or Rand is so different than the way he used to be. And it's just very childish.
You're right, though. Matt just keeps being like, yeah, Rand's so different, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all of you are different.
They've gone through so much. Obviously, they would be different.
And you're not making like any allowances for the fact that your friend just found out he might have to die. Like, it's all about you. You're not thoughtful of him. You're not caring for him. You're just yelling at him and telling him he should probably run away. Right. And then Rand accidentally does run away because he falls asleep on a stone with Loyal, and Loyal has the great foreshadowing of, I wish I could read the words on this stone. It looks like something. I guess we'll sleep on it.
Whoops.
And so then Rand transfers them into another dimension, pretty much like an alternate world.
Yeah, it's an alternate reality.
And so, but in this alternate reality, they are running around with a tracker who can smell things.
Huron, he was part of their
he was part of the Great Hunt party.
He's a sniffer.
Yeah.
So he smells like the trails of like criminals, if I understand that right.
Yeah, it kind of smells like their bad deeds. They like leave
Yeah.
out of them pretty much.
It should
And so-
also be mentioned though that Balsamon has been appearing in Rand's dreams
Again, yes.
again, and he is really trying to turn him against Moraine.
Right.
And it's working.
Yes, very much so. And
the Amerlin and the Aes Sedai as well.
Amerlin, the Aes Sedai. And so Rand starts trotting off in this land because the sniffer can still smell the Trollocs, and they're like, we're going to go through this alternate world and
it's
try
almost
to
like
find them.
Stranger Things, the Upside Down. They're just on the flip.
Yes. And they don't see
side.
anyone in this world. They just keep kind of moving forward. And during this time, we're going to shift on over to Nynaeve and Egwene, who are traveling to Tar Valon to become Aes Sedai. They have
Did you mention that Rand and Loyal and Huron meet Selene?
I have not mentioned that. I was going to discuss Nynaeve and Egwene and then go back to them in that world.
Okay.
But I can discuss that if you would prefer.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so Nynaeve and Egwene are in the traveling party to Tar Valon, and Egwene goes to talk to Moraine, and they find out she left days ago with Lan. Lan also gave Nynaeve a ring to keep her safe. He said all she has to do is show it to people, and she should have it. Has a lot of power, as a sign of his love, pretty much. And she's just like, "Why are you doing this? Take it back."
Basically,
yeah. And so,
which I mean, fair.
Yeah, I get it. She wants to be with him, and he will not get rid of his duties.
And he was like, no, but here you go, have this token of my love.
I love you. I just can't wait to see the man you marry. That's my favorite line ever. So anyway, they Moraine left, and then another Aes Sedai who's part of the Red Aja, Liandrin. And she is
Liandrin, that's right.
Liandrin also left right after Moraine did. And then Varen, who's part of the Green Aja and knows that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. There's only 3 Aja or 3 Aes Sedai who do know this. She also left. So 3 of the women left, and Egwene is like, why did Moraine leave? Nynaeve is like, I want to become an Aes Sedai to murder Moraine and use the power against her.
She basically just wants to get vengeance.
Nynaeve is convinced that if Moraine never showed up, none of this would have happened. And you could not convince her different. I know, it is the most asinine plot point where I'm like, you are someone who understands so much about the world, and you were convinced that it's Moraine's fault and you're gonna murder her for it. That boggles my mind.
There's so many times, we'll talk about this when we talk about the characters more, but there's so many times in this book where I am impressed with Nynaeve because she is able to pick up on something quickly about a character or a situation that they're in and help them get out of it. But then at the same time, she is so tethered to getting vengeance on people and not accepting change at all that it just holds her back.
Yes, agreed. Very much agreed. We will discuss it when we discuss her, but boy, was that annoying. So they find out that Nynaeve is incredibly powerful, could be the most powerful Aes Sedai pretty much. And so she is going to become one of the accepted and not be a novice, apprentice person. She's just going to.
Which she is raised to the accepted.
Yes, she is. But they're teaching her on the ship. She gets mad and she's able to throw the Amaryllis back just with, her mind and magic. And
but the thing is, they actually kind of torment her a little bit to get her to use her powers. They treat her very differently than they treat Egwene and Elaine and some of the other
we will discuss
novices.
This, but she also is a living nightmare to those women. So
for sure.
They're like, here's why you have to learn this.
It's one of those things where they're like, here, my child. And then to her, they're like, get over there now.
But also, I think she kind of
and then she reacts strongly, like, no, I'm not.
But they'll walk in and be like, hey, we're gonna learn how to do this today. And she's like, I'm not gonna do that. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and so then they just fire her up on purpose.
Yeah, why are you here if you're just going to argue about all of their methodologies? If you don't want to learn, just I understand that a whole thing about this is she needs to learn how to channel or else she'll be a danger to herself. But be more incentivized to learn then so you can leave.
Right.
I just don't understand. So that's pretty much all that's going on.
Like we mentioned before, that her emotions are very linked to her abilities.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that she's going to have to learned to do throughout the series is learn to get your emotions in check and not always just be angry about everything.
Yes. And so they arrive at Tar Valon. She ascends to one of the accepted by going through these different like powerful portals that show her things she fears from her past, her present, and her future. Past is just like a weird maze.
A weird, creepy dark friend guy chasing her.
Yes. The present is the fact that she left behind Edmund's Field. She feels very guilty.
Dying.
Yeah, and like it could have been taken over by like a bad person who's poisoning everyone, and her future is letting go of Lan and the children they have and like being a queen. And she does all of these things successfully, but she hates them and yells at them when she comes back out.
The way back will come but once.
Oh my gosh, so many times was that said.
The way back but will come but once.
And Egwene meets her BFFs forever.
Oh.
Min and Elaine, and
otherwise known as the most annoying trio.
So they are so like I'm jury's out on Elaine. I just don't know enough about her. You don't like her. I'm kind of I haven't decided yet. I just don't know anything about her. She's a very like ancillary character in this. But the three of them together drove me up a wall.
They're horrible.
The dialogue with these three girls are like, and I understand they are this age, but like very 18-year-old sorority girls. We're never gonna let a man come between us, are we? And it's just like, you guys are training to be some of the most powerful women in the entire world, and all you can talk about is which one of us is gonna get Rand.
Well, if I can't have him, I sure hope that you get him, Elaine. Well, Min, if I can't have him, I hope that you do. Egwene, I know that you had him first, but I don't think you're destined to be with him. Well, as long as one of you two get him, I'll be just fine. Like, shut up. This is such a dumb thing.
So this is a perfect moment to just tell you that I received a text from my sister who does listen to our podcast. She's obviously listening to it as we speak. She just texted, so should I be watching Riverdale?
The answer to that is yes.
Obviously. I don't, but sure, you do that. But no, Elaine, Min, and Egwene talking about Rand is the most asinine thing that I've never.
I was so disappointed that Min
she like gets
turned out the way she did in this book, because I had so many high hopes for her, and she's not mentioned a ton in this book, but it's all annoying when she's in this book, because it's all just like,
again, guys,
I hope that either one of you are with him or I am with him. Like, okay, shut up.
So we will forever to our dying day repeat the question, is Rand hot or is he just tall? Because these women are so thirsty over this one man, and he is the most awkward about being with people. And by the way, I counted at least twice where he said something about one of the other boys being better with girls than him. So
and Perrin says it too.
So
a few times
he
at least
should not be with any of these women until he grows up and learns how to look at a woman without thinking about her with her clothes off. That's the hill I will die. Well, Egwene is there. She also meets Galad, or
Galad, I think is his
Galad,
name.
And then the other one that I always forget his name, Gawain. And she thinks Galad is super hot, and then
which everyone does, really.
Yes, and then she feels guilty because she loves Rand so much.
But wait a minute, I like Rand. How can I? Close your eyes, Egwene. Close your eyes.
I still like Egwene. I have high hopes for her, and they are.
No, I'm liking her more, actually.
Okay, that's good. But I also am incredibly annoyed because I am now thinking that Laura's right, that Rand is going to end up king because of that stupid like thing Min saw, where it's like, Elaine, your husband, you'll have to share him with two other women. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the easiest thing to dissect ever. You three are standing there talking about Rand. I can't believe Laura's right. This is so upsetting to me.
Can't believe I'm right. I'm excellent at predictions. That's what I'm taking away from this.
I mean, I'm usually really good at predictions. This series has got me kind of through a loop, almost because I think sometimes
I just predicted like a basic 90s.
I know, and I think that's the problem, is this is like a basic 90s book. These women are not going to be
single.
And I want it to be something different. Like I think Jordan, he's like telling you Elaine is a strong, badass woman who's not, or Egwene is the strong, badass woman She's not going to take shit from anyone. And then it's just like, but then she just moons over boys and talks about boys and does all this stuff with boys. And it's frustrating when it's like, I like this character and I want better for her than what you are giving her. So I'm very frustrated by that. And
we're going to give women a lot of agency. You know what? They're going to be able to fight over one man.
I'm the keeper.
And that's their right.
I am the keeper of our Twitter, so I do know some slight spoilers, and I don't like where it's headed. I just don't. But I am now on Laura's train of, I guess Rand is going to be king. I guess. Yep. So dumb.
Queen Elaine and some other ladies in the mix.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. If he'll be like,
I don't think he'll be king.
Well, I'm not sure, but he'll definitely be like the most powerful man.
Yes, apparently, which is so
and have
stupid.
Several wives or something.
But anyway, that's what's going on with Tar Valon. Back, and then Matt and Perrin are doing nothing. They're just walking, being like, "Where's Rand? Did he run away? I don't think he would have taken the
occasionally channeling with wolves because he wants to hide his ability to channel wolf or not channel. I shouldn't say channel. He's not channeling wolves to communicate with wolves, and because their sniffer is with Rand, they use Perrin and claim that he's a sniffer in order to protect him from the rest of the party, so that they don't know that he has the ability to communicate with wolves. But he actually uses that ability to help them get back on the trail of the Dark Friends.
Right. And so they're off going, who knows?
And then Matt is annoying.
And so back to the alternate world where Rand, Loyal, and
Huron.
Rand, Loyal, and Huron are traveling using the sniffing abilities of Huron when they come upon a woman named Selene, who is the
most beautiful woman that they've ever seen,
who is from their world, and they don't ever ask her a single effing question about, hey,
why
can
are you
tell
here?
us how you got here? We need to know before Rand falls head over heels with you and believes everything you say. And talks about how good you smell.
I've ever seen.
God, I hate this so much.
It's mentioned so many times by different characters that she's the most beautiful woman they've ever seen.
Here's the thing. Book 1, I said it should have been called What If We Told Moraine? This book is What If We Asked a Couple Questions? Like, what if? Because
don't accept everything as truth.
Don't accept anything as truth. Like, you know that this is a very complicated world you're living in right now.
Which Selene immediately, I think, comes off as being sketchy to the readers.
Yes.
Because immediately when they introduced her character, I thought, how did she get there?
Yes.
And it just doesn't add up. So and they don't question her at all. They're just like, how beautiful.
Egwene and Nynaeve are like, oh, Leandrin, who we don't trust, told us to follow her. I guess we're going to do it. And you're just like, what if you asked a couple questions, guys? Just a couple of follow-up, and you think, hey, this seems fishy. Maybe I should talk to the Amarillo and see. Like, maybe I should do anything to double check the work here. No one does it. Rand just accepts that this beautiful woman is in trouble, and now he must save her. And so they start traveling with her because she's like, I know where a portal stone is. We need to use
How do you know?
We need to use that one. And Rand's like, no. We're going to keep like looking for people. And she's like, no. We need to use it. And then they're attacked by giant frogs.
Yeah.
Which I can't wait to see at the movie series, in the TV series. And so then and then Rand kills a couple of them, but one of them with his dying breath tells all the other frogs that they need to chase them. So then they have to use the portal stone that Selene takes them to.
Was that kind of comical to you? Because it was comical to me.
The giant frogs?
The giant frog thing.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, I literally was picturing like a frog laying like, go after them. Ribbit.
I mean, I figured it was just like it's a bunch of creatures that we later find out is in their real world. I don't know. This book is wild.
I hope it's horrible animation and it's similar to like the Princess Bride type.
That would be good if it's just actual frogs.
Hilarious.
I'm sure they're gonna give them like pointy tongues or whatever. Like
it'll probably be really well animated.
Yes, I'm sure it will be. But so they take the portal stone, and then they're like, oh, the dark ferns are nearby with Pot on Fane. And Celine is like, you gotta go get the horn. Do it now. You could be great. Mm-hmm. He also wakes up to find her ruffling through his saddlebags. Rand, ask a question. Just
hey, what you doing there?
Couple. Why are you looking through my thing? And she's like, well, I needed a shirt because my dress is dirty. And that's when you say, no, it's not. It looks very white, which he makes a point to say.
Instead, he says, you look great.
Yes. And then
you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
And then she gets naked with a big shirt over him because that is a 90s trend. Also wearing a man's shirt.
Yeah.
We've all been there and thought that was a it's not.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there's an episode of Mindy Kaling of the Mindy Project where she puts on her boyfriend's shirt and she's like, isn't it so cute that this is so dainty on me? And then he puts on her jeans and they're too big for him. Oh. And she's like, oh my God, take this off now. That's not how this is supposed to work. And that is the only time I will accept that trend now. So anyway, Celine puts on his shirt and she's like, you could be great. You could be great. Do great things. Go get the horn. And Rand's like, I guess I'll go get the horn. I don't need to ask. And at one point he's like, the shirt fits her not as well now. And I can see her body beneath it. And it's like, Rand, ask a couple questions. Just ask a question. How is it doing that? What you doing down there? Oh, it's so annoying. So Rand is like, I'm going to go down there, see what's what. So he goes down there and sure enough, he gets the horn and the dagger from Pot on Fane. Pot on Fane realizes this and yells at him in the darkness. I'll get you, Rand Althor. Pretty much. And he takes it back. He lets Celine hold it like a dumbass. And then she's like, blow on it. You'll be great. And he's all like, I don't want greatness. I don't like greatness. And because that is his brand.
Yeah.
She will not leave him alone. And then he goes to take her to Kyrene, I think. Karen.
I think it's Kyrene, isn't it?
Kyrene, yes. So he is traveling to Kyrene. On the way, he sees this big old statue being dug out. He asks people about it, and they find that suspicious when it's not. He's just doing what he should be doing with Celine,
with other things.
A question. So then they're like, okay, well, we will bring you to Kyrene. And then Celine disappears at the night, and they're like, how did she do that? We were watching the hotel. And Rand's like, that doesn't sound good. And they all go to Kyrene, where everyone thinks Rand is a lord, and they treat him like a lord. And he just screams into the distance that he's not, but he's dressed real well. So no one asks questions. Also, how much money did they have? Like I
don't know.
I'm just like sitting there going like, hey, did Moraine give you like a stack of cash or something? How did you get this
wondered
money?
That how they were able to do that.
Is it just like an IOU because they think you're a lord? I was wondering about the economics of this because it didn't make sense. But that's just me. They don't explain any of that.
No.
Robert Jordan can explain Rand looking at Celine up and down 8 different times, but not once how they're getting their money.
More than 8.
Well, thank you for that. I was not exaggerating enough for you.
That was being kind.
It was being kind. I will admit that. So Rand keeps getting invited to these places. He burns all the invitations. He's like, I'm not going. And then he runs into Celine when Trollocs are after them in a very funny, if you think about it, thing, because it's Trollocs pretending to be puppets with like people on either side of them. And I'm just imagining like these dark friends like pretending they're walking the Trolloc
not
away.
Realize this,
well, especially when on getting to Kyrene, Rand is like, those puppets don't look like Trollocs. And it's like, people don't notice these big smelly things.
I know.
People are not asking enough questions, Laura.
I didn't know how to feel about that because it just didn't feel like it made much sense that
they're pretending. But then again,
puppets. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, Then again, I guess they're not questioning anything.
They're
So
I know, but so suspend your disbelief. So he's running away. He goes into like this place. He sets off fireworks. He sees Celine
Mhm.
again. Then she disappears because she runs back into it. She's
Mhm.
like, maybe I have to force you to be great because she is a great person to hang your hat on, Rand. You find her
Yeah.
so good looking, and yet she's not very nice to you, and she keeps not respecting your wishes. So
Right.
he needs to fix that. But after he sets off the fireworks, he gets back. They find the inn they were at on fire. Oh no.
No.
No. Sorry. He gets another invitation, one
Mhm.
from the king and one from like this other very powerful man who was overthrown or something. And they're like, well, if you don't accept one, you're gonna die.
Mhm.
But if you accept both, they're gonna think something shady's going on and you're gonna die. But if
Mhm.
you only pick one, then the other person is going to try to kill you. And it's just like, I think it's time to leave.
Yeah.
But he's like, but we can't because of the Trollocs.
Mhm.
And so then they decide to show the invitations around and show that he didn't throw them in the fire to give himself a couple more days. And oh, he also runs into Tom while he's there.
Tom and his girlfriend.
Yes, and he returns Tom's flute and his cape to him. He has another musical instrument, but I can't remember what it was. And Tom gives him the flute he was using at the time. And he tells him that he thinks they should have a clean break from each other and that he doesn't want to like be in this game of like who's, the Game of Thrones pretty much, because that was what this was reminiscent of, because there's a huge Game of Thrones going on with people in power.
Right.
So Rand leaves with the invitations. He and Loyal walk around a little bit, and Loyal's really nervous about running into other Ogiers because of how he left things when he left.
He's worried that they'll send him back.
Yes. And they come back and the inn is on fire and they go to save Huron. They find him passed out. The horn is gone and the dagger is gone. And Rand grabs his saddlebags because of the flag inside, and Loyal takes Huron out, and then they run into Perrin, Mat, and Ingtar, who and Varen, who is the Green Aes Sedai because she joined their camp earlier. They also ran into an Aiel man who was looking for another like Aielman to show that they were going, because the Aielmen have their own prophecies pretty much along the lines of the Dragon Reborn, where it's like when this Aielman comes back, we get to go into our lands because our sins are forgiven. It's very biblical. But they run into Rand. They think Rand might be that Aielman, like in the back of their heads, but they don't, and they kind of tell him that, and he freaks out because Tam is his father.
He's not an Aielman.
He's not an Aielman.
Which, going back, Padon Fane is the one that set the inn on fire and took the horn and dagger.
Sorry. Thank you for that.
And he takes it to Barthane's manor?
Yes, he takes it to Barthane. Yeah, Barthane de Madrid. Yeah. The sniffer Huron like sniffs around the city and finds out that it's definitely in Barthane de Madrid's house, which Rand just received an invitation for, and so they know he's now a dark friend. He goes with Loyal, Huron and Mat as servants, and Varen, and then Ingtar, because Ingtar is a lord. So, and Mat is so whiny about the fact that he has a job in this situation. And they're like,
well, he's horrible at it too, just because he's mad about being cast in the role of servant.
I know
he is so angry that Rand is the lord and everything. Yes. And it's just a lot of bitterness.
Well, and they're like, Mat, you need to not be dressed up because we want you to be able to go wherever you please. And like, no one pays attention to these servants. And he's just like, no, that's not why. It's because you think Rand's better than me. And it's just like, or exactly the reason they just said that. Right. So calm down. But anyway, then they run into Tom again. Rand's not talking to anyone except for these women who just like throw themselves at him because again, we're dealing with the hottest man where women where this innocent little boy who doesn't understand when women are hitting on him is so overwhelmed that they all have to do it. It's the dumbest thing. And so then Mat fakes an injury because they feel that it's gone the certain way. And then they figure out that Padon Fane took it into the ways. Yes. Took the dagger and the horn into the ways. And so Rand goes to like get Rand sends Matt to go get everything, and he opens the ways. They see a black wind. They're very scared
which is
of it.
following them.
Yes, which
and
they figure out is
Varen says
following
that
them.
has not happened
Ever. And so they go back inside. They say goodbye, and then Tom Marilyn goes home, and then they pretty much leave Kyrene. They're going to they try a different ways, I think, and the black wind is still there, so it's definitely following them. And then they go to a steading they go to the steading to find another way. And they
another
find
Waygate.
Another Waygate. The black wind is
Loyal
still there.
Has this girl that he likes, an Ogier girl, and Matt is a total jerk and is like, because Loyal says something like, "Isn't she beautiful?" And Matt's like, "Yeah, beautiful." And it's like, Matt, hope you fall off your horse.
I would agree with all of that. And so they're like, "Hey, we can't use this Waygate. How are we going to go there? It's going to take months to like travel the world." And Rand's like, "Well, I could probably use a portal stone, or we should use a portal stone." They're like, "Okay, I guess we'll have to go back up into the mountains." The Ogiers are like, "No, we have one for you right here." So, and the biggest plot contrivance of the world. Again, I did like this book, by the way, guys. I am just making fun of some of the dumbest stuff about it because you're just reading a book from the 90s and being like, oh my gosh. And so then Varen pretends she can use it so that Rand can channel without people noticing. Oh, Rand also, like, he's starting to use Sidene more and more. Yeah. And it begins like hurting his head, and he
gets headaches.
He feels the taint of it, and it's like starting to show like why.
Well, and he gets like a little woozy like afterwards too.
Yeah. He uses the portal stone, and instead of like going into another world, he just takes them to Tom and Head. And they realize that it's fall, so like a huge jump has happened in time because they were traveling.
Basically what happens is they like live out thousands of different lives.
Yeah, and Rand like can always channel. He's always, and Balsamon always finds him at the end of it, like, "You will always die.
I've got you now, Luz Theron." Like,
yeah.
Okay.
And so during this time, Egwene is still around with her two besties, and Nynaeve is hanging out with them. And they're all just sitting there talking about Rand. Also, we find out that Egwene is likely a dreamer, so she can
which is cool.
Yes. So she can kind of understand when someone's in danger, or see kind of almost into the future almost, and understand.
Yeah, it's almost like predictions, and also like a cool connection with people from a distance.
And so she had been dreaming about Rand, and then she stopped because he disappeared, obviously. She's worried about that. And Nynaeve's like, "Don't worry, everything's fine. They're fine. They're off on their journey." Leandrin shows up and tells Elaine and Min to leave the room, and then they just listen in on the other side because, and she's like, I have to get you guys to help your friends. Only you can do it. And Nynaeve asks a good question that all people should remember. Why do you need us? We aren't that trained.
Right.
And she doesn't have a good answer, and they still believe her for some reason. So Min and Elaine are like, "We heard everything. We're coming too." So they show up, and Leandrin is like upset that the two girls are with them. But then she's like, "Oh, I just had people there to help you because, shocker, not shocker, Leandrin is bad and part of the Black Aja."
Black Aja. Oh, wait, I thought they didn't exist. Oh, wait, they do.
They do. And she's one of them. And she tried to like use that as a way to, get the girls to follow them. And this was a point in the novel where it's like, did Leandrin have people waiting to murder Min and Elaine? Because that's what it sounded like.
It seems like she's got some lackeys or spies or something that are hanging around.
But she said, "I have people there to take care of you." And she shakes it off as like, "Well, people know that you guys are all close."
But I mean, she's definitely not trustworthy, so you don't know.
Yeah, but it sounded like she had their people there to murder those two. So it's good that these two girls went with them. But
it's interesting that Egwene and Nynaeve are the ones that are being targeted more, when Elaine is the one that's the queen's daughter.
Yes.
You would think that she would be the one that'd be targeted more, but
it felt almost like
oddly enough, she's not.
It felt almost like they didn't want those two girls at Tommen's Head because of some kind of prophecy. It almost sounded like, I don't know. That's kind of what I got from it. Part. They didn't say that, but she kept saying like, I need them to leave before this battle happens. So it
Okay.
kind of felt like there was some prophecy that these girls are a part of, or like
Oh,
the fact that they're
okay.
like
Tavern.
the fact that they're Tavern or like around Tavern so much, it kind of sounds like they're woven into this just as much as the boys are now. That's
Okay.
kind of the read I got on it, but who knows? And so they go through the Waygate, they travel, and all of a sudden they come to Xianchen. And it is like on the continent, but very far away. It's Thomas Head. And they are grabbed by these women, or well, Egwene and Min are captured.
Yeah.
Elaine and Nynaeve get away because Nynaeve like blows people up pretty much.
Yeah, she gets ticked and blows people up. And
yes.
Then poor Egwene is made a slave.
Yes, she is made a
slave. She wears this collar around her neck and everything. Oh, yes. I feel horrible. And she basically, they use Min as a like tool against her, and they're like, we're gonna hurt your friend unless you do this for us. So unless she does stuff.
Good little slave. And they like take her name away from her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like held captive by this domain with an Adam.
Yeah.
And it's like used as a means to control. She can't channel unless she has permission, and if she does, she gets punished. Mm-hmm. Anytime she hits her and like captor, like she feels it back twofold. Mm-hmm. It's just this awful,
it's horrible
experience where she like hates herself and she kind of wants to die. And so Elaine and Nynaeve go into town and they disguise themselves into like the woman's clothing, and they like live above this fisherman's place while Egwene is captured, trying to figure out a way to get out. And so Nynaeve develops a plan where she, Elaine, and Min like concoct this thing where Nynaeve pretends she's a Daemon and she leashes another Daemon, and they go in to get Egwene. And during this time, Matt, Rand, and Perrin and like the Great Hunt party are there now.
Yeah, they conveniently reunite
at the same time. And they figure out that
just in time to save Egwene.
Just in time for Rand to see her and be like, that's the love of my life, even though I love a lot of other people. Yeah. And so they figure out that the horn is secretly at the High Lord Turok's house. And so they sneak in, and the High Lord thought that Padan Fain was going to be coming in to get the dagger back, because Padan Fain really wanted the dagger. And they have a huge battle. Like Rand defeats Turok and escapes with the horn, and he almost like sacrificed the horn to save Matt.
Yes.
And then Ingtar reveals that he was a dark friend all along, and he doesn't deserve to like, and he was obsessed with the horn, like obsessed. Also weird storyline, because he's obsessed with getting the horn back, but he's also a dark friend.
It didn't quite make sense to me. Like, I thought that this could have been done better. Yeah. You know what I mean? The whole dark friend thing, that they could have played him out longer as being a dark friend and have that revealed later, that he could have been like secretly betraying them for a long time. Right. But they just randomly reveal this at the end, and it's like, oh, well, this is weird.
He was obsessed with the horn. So it's like, why did he need to get it from Padan Fain if Padan Fain is also a dark friend?
I know. That's kind of what I was going to say too, is why wasn't he with the other dark friends? They had it.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. But anyway, he has a change of heart because Rand was so pure pretty much. And so then he goes to like fight off people. And
Rand makes everyone better.
So annoying. Can't wait to talk about his character next week. So anyway, then Matt, they're still in Xianchen, and the Children of the Light all of a sudden descend to overtake the city.
So the party is followed basically after Rand fights Turok. Yes. But they're pursued by all these other people, and they end up being surrounded on all sides.
Yes. And so they're all scared, and Matt makes a very good point, because Matt has actually asked a good question, which is, why can't we blow the horn now? Just because it's supposed to happen on Tommen Head doesn't mean we can't use it twice. And so Matt blows on the horn, which, prophecies say that it's the Dragon Reborn, but it was Matt. So that leads him into this whole, mess. And so all of these people,
the heroes of
legend come out and they're going to fight for Rand, and they call him Lutheran, and he sees all these people. And
what was the guy's name? That was one, like the main one of the heroes.
Arthur Hawking.
Yeah,
Hawkwing.
Arthur Hawkwing.
Yes,
yeah.
And Huron decides to help fight, and they're like, maybe you will be one of the great people in the future. And Huron was very excited about that.
Yeah, Huron is sweet.
Huron is an incredibly annoying character. I will talk about it, but I did like his resolution.
Sure.
And so they all go off to fight, and then Rand like fights Balsamon in the clouds.
I didn't understand how this happened.
I think it's almost like, I would describe it as astral projection. Like
it's like a projection up there in the clouds. Okay.
Again, I watched a lot of Charm. Astral projection was one of the powers.
Okay.
And you can like project yourself. I also use this in the book I'm writing. But like you can like send your own like thought and embodiment out into this and like make an astral projection of yourself, and you're still in your body, but like your body can't move or react because of this.
Okay.
They do something similar with like Doctor Strange. So you're just like almost like on a different plane of existence. It is very weird and trippy to think about. But he gets very cold. Min tries to warm him and lies in bed with him. Egwene comes in and
stares like, admiringly at him, and
Egwene comes in, is uncomfortable, and then leaves and just like hightails it out of there. It's so weird. Like this whole end was just so mealy-mouthed and random.
And Min just is in love with him and wants to be with him.
And Rand defeats Balsamon, and again he wakes up with Min. He's like, hey Min, I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
And then Moiraine shows up. And it also sounded for a little bit like Robert Jordan was trying to say like, oh, maybe Lyanna's dead, but he didn't know how to do that correctly, because they start talking about like a warder and another woman who we don't know her name. She's a prisoner too. And it's just like, are you trying to hint that it was Lyanna and Moiraine to like make us surprised when we see them again? Because I wasn't.
Wow, they're here.
Yeah, he's not dead. And it's just like, you didn't foreshadow that the way you wanted to.
Right.
But anyway, Moiraine shows up and she's like, everyone saw you fighting in the sky. And then she tells him that Padon Fane was actually that Mordeth tried to capture him, but because
whenever they were in Shadar Logoth.
Yeah, way back when. But when he tried to touch him, he was already touched by the Dark One, so they almost like have a fused soul now, is the best way
they're like one and the same basically. And he was looking for a soul to attach to basically, or a body to attach to.
Yes. And so he is something different, and he's much more dangerous now. And then Rand accepts the fact that Tam is not my father, and he is the Dragon Reborn. So that is the second book. Oh, I also forgot to say that like at the beginning, Moiraine just has the biggest the biggest what's it called when people are like listing out what's going on in the world? Monologue about Tam and how he is this amazing fighter, and he went off to fight in the wars, and he became this master tradesman, and he was like distinguished, and then he married this woman from this place and like took her back, and everybody else like, how does she know all this?
Right.
What the heck? Like she also goes and sees two Aes Sedai randomly, and she asks Lamb if he's like getting sick of being her warder, if it's like if their bond is now like kind of
it's time for him to have a new Aes Sedai.
And she tells him that if she dies, he goes to another person until she finds like a better warder for him. And this is very like this hasn't happened in centuries. It's very abnormal to do this, and he's very upset about it because it's almost like
it's definitely opening it up for him and Nynaeve to be Aes Sedai and warder.
Exactly.
So, but we make that super easy.
So yeah, there were a lot of frustrating things about this book, and like Laura and I said, a lot happens. Like I just talked for a good long while about this entire plot.
Yeah.
Oh, and at the end you find out Selene is Lanfear because she shows up, and so this like there's so much stuff and also nothing at all, like nothing.
Exactly.
So it's just this weird thing where it's like, Rand sees another world for like 3 chapters, and it's just like, okay, this was used almost as like a Deus Machina to get him away from the group of people, and it is used in the end, but like it's just very frustrating. It's so frustrating. But what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with everything, but yeah, it just seems like such a long book where a lot happens, but seemingly nothing happens. I don't know how to explain it very well.
Well, it feels like they shove a lot of plot into the end.
Yeah.
And it's almost like
there's a lot of things that are drawn out so long that I'm like, do we need the super extensive descriptions of these things, or do we need to have to hear about Rand talking about how attracted he is to Selene when we could have more of the action? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like you could have more about Perrin and Matt, or Matt have any
Right.
personal development at all besides I think I'm
Tell
gonna
some-
die. I guess I'm not gonna die. Like
Tell some of it from his point of view.
yes,
We need it.
I enjoy like the expansion of learning more about Egwene, and I hope
Yeah.
like her learning from her perspective was interesting because
Well,
we
and it
hadn't
was
seen
cool
that yet.
to see Nynaeve go through the part where she was going through the Tarangreal. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The arches. That was cool, and so it'd be cool to see more of that rather than just chapters upon chapters of Rand.
Or like not have Nynaeve's growth be like, I want to murder Moraine. That is what my
Right.
character is invested in right now.
Right.
Like she has so many more interesting things about her, but it just kept repeating how much she hated Moraine. And it was just like, but why? There's not enough nuance. There's not enough discussion.
Yeah.
It feels like she's just this jealous little girl. And like, it just does not make sense. I don't understand.
Right. And then all of the like continually repetitive stuff with the three girls were,
oh gosh. It's just like, I understand these are young girls. Everyone's immature at some point, but like there are conversations where maddening.
Even young girls do not get that repetitive
like,
over this kind of stuff.
I'm trying to think back to like if I had friends who liked a guy I liked in college, but it was never like, I just want one of us to have him. It's just like a funny thing of like, we all have a crush on this guy. Why? Like that was the conversation. And Egwene barely likes Rand anymore. It feels like I don't know why we keep. It's almost like we keep.
It's almost just like a nostalgia thing for her at this point.
That's what it feels like. So I don't understand, and I understand like her twinges of jealousy. With like, I could understand the twinges of jealousy and the questioning of like, I chose this. I don't want you anymore. But like, there is that part. But then there's also like her still pining, and I'm just like, why at this point? Right. Like I don't believe in them as a couple anymore.
No.
Like, it took 2 books and that theory is dead now. So it's just very strange, you know?
Right.
I feel like it's not moving fast enough, and it's also moving too fast at the same time. Like, I feel like Jordan just hasn't hit his stride yet in these first 2 books.
Correct.
Yes. And even at the beginning, I was like, oh, I like this so much more because you have the Moraine talking with the Emerald Seat. You learn about their politics. You learn about how they're trying to set up the world, and they're trying to like maneuver it. And I'm like, no, that's the interesting part about these books. Why
there's
is there
a
not
strong beginning and a strong end?
Yes.
And the middle section of this, I'm like, do we have to have this many chapters? We could have made this a much shorter book, really.
Right. It's just so weird. And again, what if people ask questions?
Yeah.
I get it that we're watching Rand grow and develop as a character. So like you have to watch him grow.
Right.
But also like, I don't know. We didn't have to watch him learn how to fight. We had like 2 chapters on it. One at the end of the last book and one at the beginning of this book, you know? Right. So, you know, he's been working, you know, he's been trying. So like Kyrian, did we really need all the chapters we had there? Like they go out walking 6 different times. And did they need to go out 6 times? Could it have been like 3? It's annoying. But
yes.
Overall, I like the book. I like where the series is going. I just wish he would write better women or better nuance. And like I said, I like Min. I like Egwene. Jury's out on Elaine. I have no opinion of her. She is nothing really.
I'm disappointed with Min at this point in the series. Honestly, I had really high hopes after the first book, but the way that this one ended, I was just no.
It's very weird, but I don't
right
know.
now I feel like the whole situation with Egwene being captured and everything really kind of turned her around as far as being a character goes, in my opinion, but we'll talk more about this.
Yeah, we will. I think overall the plot was just a little slow and fast all at once, and we were hoping to like develop the story overall.
Yes.
Any other thoughts?
At this point, no.
Okay. Well, you sound so defeated.
I don't know what to say at this point.
Well, I guess
I have more character discussions, but
yeah, and I mean we'll discuss that. So it'll be interesting getting into this next book. We have more people to talk about. We have more to discuss with the women. They are much more involved in the story. We're not just seeing Nynaeve's perspective now. We're seeing Egwene's. There was a lot more women talk in my audiobook because they have a woman and a man switching off for characters' perspective. So I did notice that, but well.
I thought she was reacting to you saying that there's more female perspectives in the audiobook.
Yes, Whiskey is an out and out woman hater, guys.
No,
I don't want to see that.
We don't want Egwene's point of view. What a take!
Like her. That's a hot take.
What a take, Whiskey.
Oh God, you should see her. She's just like staring at the door. That Whiskey's how's Briggs doing? We heard about Whiskey. Is he
good?
Pro-feminism or anti?
He's pro-treat.
What dog isn't it? I sent Laura a TikTok, guys, where a guy gets his dog like one of those treats where like one of those treat puzzles where it's supposed to like work their mind. And he's like, it's really saddening to know that your child is such a dumbass. And I watch that video quite often and I always think, that's my dog. She is. I throw treats on the ground sometimes and guys, she'll be like, I know 5 drop, but I can't find the 5th one. And I'm like, it's right there. Like it's right there.
Tap it like a million times. They just walk right by it.
So I guess that is all we have. And please join us next week to talk about the men in the Great Hunt. We have lots to say.
This will be an interesting discussion.
I think it's going to be a lot of hating on people. We didn't have as much Karen. So, and I also think Loyal was kind of done dirty. Like Loyal,
I know,
watches Rand do the dumbest stuff. And he's like, I guess I just trust him. And it's like, don't do that. Ask a question. Ask questions, people.
I'll always be your friend, Randolph. I'll go anywhere with you. Are you following around a dark friend because she's beautiful? That's fine.
This woman just keeps disappearing and then you get mad at me about it. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. So anyway.
Loyal, you gotta get a backbone, buddy.
You gotta get a backbone, dude. Okay. But please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. It's very important. We push it just so we can get out there. You can reach out to us and tell us your thoughts on the Great Hunt, either at ourpod@gmail.com. That's OWWRpod@gmail.com. Or on our Instagram or Twitter, which I had the wonderful tweet of the drinking game where anytime one of the boys mentions that the other boy is better at him with girls and you disagree, you do a shot. And someone had the best response of, do you want alcohol poisoning?
I mean, I agree with that person.
Right. But you can reach out to us on any of these places, all these platforms, and we hope you join us next week on our pod. Bye.
Bye.